Rotarians contribute their time, energy, and passion to sustainable, long-term projects in their local communities and across the globe. I am often asked, what is Rotary? Rather than answering that question, I want to tell you what it means to me to be a Rotarian. I believe in Rotary and its motto of service above self. I believe in maintaining high ethical standards in one's business, profession, and one's personal life. I look for ways to engage Rotary and get involved. I support the Rotary Foundation to do good throughout the world. Being a Rotarian is a way of life, a satisfying, lifelong adventure I'm willing to give to, be a part of all that Rotary has to offer. I'm willing to dig a well that I will never drink from, build a house that I will never sleep in, prepare a meal that I will not eat. I trust the foundation to do good with the donations I give, help eradicate disease. I am willing to step out of my comfort zone to serve those in need. What are you willing to do? I am proud to be a Rotarian. Join the movement and help change the face of Rotary.
And welcome to the Rotary Club meeting of February 10th, 2021. It's my pleasure to introduce our president, Diva Alfaro.
Thank you, Raymond. And thank you for that great video. I just have to say that is one reason that I am a Rotarian, is the fact that I might not meet the people that we help, but knowing that someone is in the receiving end of the goodness of our hearts, the things that we do, is one of the most important things to me. Being put in a position that you need help, sometimes it's easier not to tell people and go through things on your own, but knowing that there's groups out there that will help and not ask questions and not judge and do whatever they can to help out is so important. So I just want everybody to know that I'm a proud Rotarian, and I'd like to go ahead and ask Mike Wallace if he can lead us with the flag salute.
Sure. Thank you, Diva. Raymond just put the flag up. Please join me in saluting the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike. I will go ahead and lead the invocation. So if everybody can just bow their heads. I just want to thank the Lord for having all of us here together, for bringing us all together. Good people with the same ideas and the same wants of an outcome, building friendships that you in this world and in the position we're in right now, it's kind of hard to be side by side, but knowing that we're all connected by wanting to help others. And hopefully we can gain more people to help us help more people. So thank you. Alrighty, next I would like to do introductions. So I'll go ahead and start. My name is Diva Alfaro. I am a Rotarian for about 3 years now. I am also a licensed loan officer. I work for Ocean Lending. I service all of California and all of the nation. So I'll go ahead and pass it on to Raymond.
Hi, Raymond Foster, past president, president-elect of the Rotary, current public image chair. And that's right, I'm the face of Rotary.
What a great face too. Go ahead, Mike.
Hi, everyone. Mike Wallace. I am the president of Better Home Financial. We are a mortgage brokerage in San Dimas. I've been a Rotarian for over 5 years now, probably closer to 6. Past president of the club, and I am not the face of Rotary.
All right, next, Steve.
Hello, everyone. My name is Steve Scott. I've been a Rotarian for about 11 years now. I am the current treasurer of the club, and I am a State Farm agent in San Dimas.
Thank you, Steve. Marianne?
I'm Marianne Kistler. I am a retired banker. I've been in Rotary for well over 20 years. I am a past president, and I am the current foundation chair.
Perfect. Thank you, Marianne.
Marianne,
Derek?
you're stretching well over there, Marianne. You're stretching the term.
My name is Derek Athenew. I'm a teacher in Baldwin Park. I'm on the school board in Bonita. I'm a brand new Rotarian member, and thank goodness I am not the face of Rotary. I think Raymond does a much better job of that. I'm also the junior deacon at the San Dimas Masonic Lodge, and happy to be here.
Thank you, Derek. So next, I'll have one of our guests speak real quickly. Bernie?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. This is my first time to be in this meeting. My name is Bernie Sarabia. I'm a nurse and a licensed financial professional. Me and my wife came here 15 years ago from the Philippines. Nice to meet you, everyone.
Thank you, Bernie.
Welcome.
And next, I'll introduce, did I skip everybody? Anybody, I mean? I think I got everybody. So now I have
Terry Kistler.
Oh, I didn't even, oh, sorry, Terry. One of the most important ones, too.
Why? No, I'm Terry Kessler. I'm a past president of the Azusa Rotary Club. I am now the international chair. I've been in Rotary 16, 17 years.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you for all you do. My apologies, Terry, again.
That's all right. You got to smile.
Thanks. Next, I will go ahead and introduce our speaker, which is Dr. Lawrence Will. Dr. Will received both his undergraduate in dental and postgraduate orthopedics, orthodontics training in Loma Linda University. After completing his undergraduate program with honors, Dr. Will maintained a private practice within his facility dental practice at Loma Linda. In addition to private practice, he administered Loma Linda's University Dental Continuing Education Department before returning to complete his graduate orthodontics program. Dr. Wilt received his MS in orthodontics and was granted a position of assistant professor of orthodontics. He remained on the graduate orthodontic faculty in both teaching and administrative roles, including director of the graduate orthodontic clinic, which provided the practical clinical trainings of dentists enrolled in graduate orthodontic program. Dr. Will maintained a private practice until he joined Abora Orthodontics in 2003. So I want to thank Dr. Will for taking the time and spending this afternoon with us. So I pass it to you, Dr. Will.
Thank you, Diva. I feel very honored to be in the presence of all of these people that have been connected with your organization for years, and presidents, vice presidents, past presidents, president-elect, and wow, I was very impressed. I apologize for the quality of my image. One of my little lights here went out, so I have light on one side and not the other, but we'll have a good time anyway. So I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to join you today. I really appreciate that. This is my first Rotary appearance, so it's a special day for me. And I also want to thank my friends at Via Verde Dental, Drs. Zhong and Fun, for inviting me to have this opportunity. And we'll take it away from there. I have taught for years at Loma Linda. I am, no pun intended, an old teacher. So if you have any questions as we go along, you don't have to wait for the question and answer session. I'll be very happy to speak with you as we go through. So with that, let me just say I am especially happy to be with you because this happens to be National Children's Dental Health Month. And what a great thing that is that the American Dental Association has set aside a month every year, February, to be part of this emphasis on children's dental health. And I know that most of you are parents, maybe grandparents even, and so you know the importance of dentistry for your children. My specific specialty is in orthodontics. And what is orthodontics actually? I get this question asked amazingly often by patients that come to the office. So just for those of you who may not know the history of orthodontics, it is the oldest recognized specialty in dentistry, having been founded in the year 1900 and founded by a gentleman named Dr. Edward Angle, best known for his description of the types of bites that people have. So it's easy to say you have a class 1 bite, and any other dentist who is familiar with this classification system can visually immediately see what you're talking about. I'll get into that a little bit more later on. And the next question that I get quite often is, what is an orthodontist? And that's always a great question because I love to talk about this. I'm very jealous of my profession. I'm very proud of my profession. And an orthodontist is a dentist, first of all. Every orthodontist has to take dentistry. And then there is a 3-year graduate residency after that dental training, which is 4 years. So you see, none of us are terribly young when we get out of school as orthodontists. Orthodontists deal with specialization in teeth and in the craniofacial complex. It's not just what people think of as getting your teeth straight. It's much more involved, much more elaborate than that. And what is an orthodontist? Well, an orthodontist is a specialist in the state of California who is authorized to provide services to correct these problems and to interface with other specialists in dentistry and sometimes in medicine also for the solution and the resolution of these problems. My particular background, I became interested in orthodontics when I had it done. Now, I know this sounds a little strange, but I've actually had one of my patients become an orthodontist, so I guess I paid it forward a little bit here. I learned a very good communications lesson the first time or two that I was into my orthodontist. We lived in Lodi at the time in Northern California, and my parents selected an orthodontist in Sacramento. So there was a 30-mile drive every time we went to the orthodontist, and this was back in the last century, so that was quite a commitment. But anyway, one of the first steps in having orthodontic treatment done at that time was you take a model of the teeth so that you can have a physical reference of where you started and progress that you have made. And I'm sure that most of you have had a dental impression done at some point in time in your life. Back then, the materials were not as advanced as they are now. And I clearly remember having this tray put into my mouth and the telephone ringing. And the receptionist came to the office where the doctor and I were, and he said, "Doctor, you have a telephone call." And so he said to his assistant, "Will you please watch this impression?" And he went off to get the telephone. Well, needless to say, it was quite a few minutes later before he returned, and impression material set up faster than that. Now we have impression materials that are more elastic, and elastic moves out of the mouth easier. These were not, so they probably had to chip this impression out of my mouth, and I learned the difference between will you watch this and will you take care of this while you're watching it from an early age. That's just a little side thing, but it's something that I have never forgotten in all of these years. I took my training, as Deva mentioned, at Loma Linda, and I was privileged to have as a mentor Dr. Robert Ricketts. He's one of the founders of modern orthodontics. And he was one of the people involved in growth forecasting, actually simulating growth of the jaw and of the teeth and of the face. which is now widespread in both medicine, dentistry, plastic surgery, and a lot of other medical media. It's a very interesting and a very important contribution that he made. As you also mentioned, Diva, I have been working with Dr. Abari at Abari Orthodontics since 2003. We have two offices, one in San Dimas and one in Diamond Bar. And we have been there so long that we're now seeing grandchildren or original patients. And I tell you, if that doesn't make you respect the length of life, I don't think anything else does. It was bad enough when we started treating children patients, but now the grandchildren are coming in, and I think I earned this white hair a long time ago, actually. But it's always a pleasure to see them. And Dr. Abari has built this practice for so many years based on trust and the results of his treatment. And he is a master technician, so I am honored to be part of his office team. As an aside, he has two sons, one of which has finished dentistry and has the plan of becoming an orthodontist also. So Dr. Abari and I will be able to retire one of these years, and his son can take over the practice. At least that's our plan. So over the years, orthodontics has had so many changes. And it's interesting to me to have people come into the office that say, I don't see any change. I remember my mother having braces, and what you're showing me looks exactly like what my mother had. Well, to the casual eye, I can understand why that would be a statement. But we have had so many changes in technology, just the braces that are on the teeth. When I had my orthodontics done, I remember that the orthodontist had to actually form every single brace for the teeth and then add, by welding, a little attachment onto that brace to the wire going around the mouth. When I was in my residency, the direct bonding, which is what you normally associate with orthodontics now, where the brackets are just placed on the teeth and stay there. This was all new at that time, and I remembered that I was treating the dean's secretary. And so help me, the materials were not that advanced then, and she would come in about every 2 or 3 days to have these brackets reattached to her teeth because the adhesives were not as strong as we have now. So this has come a long way in what we have been doing. We have wires now that are actually heat activated. And by that, I mean that in the mouth and the oral environment, it actually generates warmth, and the wires have a memory. So they start moving the teeth back to this memory of where they want to be. And it's very gentle. It's much more comfortable than it used to be years ago. And it certainly is kinder to the teeth and the gum tissue and the roots as well. We have growth prediction techniques that I mentioned earlier, and also, you know, there's been the advent of aligner techniques, which do not require any braces at all, Invisalign being the most known brand name for that. In our office, we are forming our own aligners at this time. We take our own scans of the mouth digitally, and then we, using the software that we have, actually rearrange the teeth where we want them to be, and then we generate the aligners. We actually fabricate the aligners in the office. So it's really a superior way to do things because we have total quality control from day one, and we can turn things around much faster than third parties. So the Invisalign system, or what we prefer to call the clear aligner system, so it doesn't have brand names attached to it, is another alternative that is making a huge difference in orthodontics and acceptance of orthodontic treatments by patients of all ages. We also have functional appliances, which are able to redirect growth. And the interesting thing that every so often I get asked is my child going to have a headgear? Now, those of you that know what a headgear is, I commend you for being around here. But we haven't used a headgear in our office, I don't know, maybe 15 years. So those people, when we say that we don't use a headgear anymore, they look at their child and they say, sweetheart, you don't know what you're missing. I'm so sorry you don't get to wear that. And I always have an inside chuckle because I know the compliance issues that we have with children. We also have technology that is utilized in some very complicated cases, things that we could not do before. This is called a temporary anchorage device, in which we actually use a small micro implant placed into the bone to act as an anchorage. So the bone actually acts as anchorage to move the teeth. And these temporary anchorage devices are just revolutionizing the things that we can do. And it has, in some cases, actually allowed us to treat cases non-surgically that would have been surgically involved cases before. So this is a very interesting development technology. And as an aside, I always seem to be the guinea pig in the office whenever we teach a class in this and Dr. Vari is speaking. He'll always say, Dr. Will, why don't you have a seat down here and we'll put one of these in for you. So I've had 4 of them placed now, and I do know what it's like. And I can assure you it's a very simple process to do. And these appliances do not become part of the bone. So when we're done using them for our mechanical advantage, we just take them out, and the area is like nothing ever happened to it. So that's an exciting thing too. Orthodontics now is not just about straight teeth. We have to involve the entire skeleton, the entire facial structure, muscular structure. I know that a lot of you have heard about temporomandibular joint issues. That's part of it. Airway issues. So it's a much broader definition and a much broader service area than even when I was in school. And we embrace all of these changes, and they're really just wonderful to see that they're happening here. Just to give you an overview of our office philosophy, Dr. Bari and I are both very conservative orthodontists, and we believe in non-extraction whenever possible. Being a specialty office, we get, as you can imagine, the most challenging cases. And we are at approximately an 87% non-extraction statistic in our office, which is very amazing because we treat a lot of adults as well as children. So to have that high of a non-percentage extraction rate, we're very proud of that. So let's talk about children for just a minute, since it is Children's Dental Health Week. And what do we do for children that is important? Or what do we do that's different? And many times the dentists that we work with and we educate in this will send us children early on. And we really appreciate the opportunity to work with children. And we recommend that the first appointment for a child be at age 7. And we select that age because that is an age when usually the front, top, and bottom 4 teeth are present. And at that time, the skeleton of the front part of the mouth is already quite well developed. And so we can predict what's going to happen. And it's important for us to see the children at this age because we need to intercept problems that will not take care of themselves or can be worse or are very traumatic or harmful for the child. So I always thank the parent for coming in at that age. We do not treat everybody at that age at all, but we use this as an opportunity to acquaint the parents and the children with orthodontics. And also, if there is something that does need to be addressed, we will address it at that time. Most of the time, a first part of treatment, or phase 1 treatment, if you want to call it that, is around an 18-month period of time. And it builds the foundation for orthodontics that we can do when all of the permanent teeth come in at the appropriate age. We're looking for habits that children have. Thumb-sucking habits need to be eliminated because they can actually change the skeletal structure of a tooth of a patient. We're also looking for the relationships, and getting back to Dr. Angle, that class 1, class 2, class 3 malocclusion. I know that you'll immediately identify this when I tell you a class 2 malocclusion is when the jaw is back in the mouth, and a class 3 malocclusion is when the bottom teeth is really far forward, many times called an underbite. And so at that age, with appropriate conditions being met, we can use a functional appliance for the child to help correct the growth of the jaw and avoid severe problems later on when that child gets older. Many of these cases, if you don't treat them early on, will become surgical cases when they're adults. And even though we treat and have treated hundreds of surgical cases, we also prefer to be as conservative as we can and prevent as many of these as we can also. So the great thing about this appliance that we use for correcting skeletal malpositioning is that it's never worn to school. And when I show it to children, and I'll try to show it to you here in just a moment, I say it's sort of like two retainers that are glued together. And of course, kids always want a retainer, so they love that idea. And they wear it a maximum of 16 hours a day, and we never want them to wear it to school because of loss, breakage, those conditions. So they wear it when they get home from school all night while they're sleeping and take it out in the morning. And it is absolutely amazing, the results that we have from this appliance. As another aside here, I know that a Zoom meeting does not allow us to have all of the visuals that we usually do. And I would be happy to send you a sort of handout with these things that I'm talking about so you can actually visualize what they are like. Or maybe we could even be lucky enough to meet in person when all this COVID stuff is passed. I would really enjoy that. So we do this phase 1 treatment taking about a year and a half, and then we put the children in retainers that are actually cemented into the mouth so the parents don't have the issue of the children throwing the retainers away or dumpster diving trying to find them. And I'm sure that at least one of you in this audience can relate to having either done that yourself or having had your parents have to do that for you. I can see that my time is almost up here, but I would like to add that we do not serve just children. We have many adults. In fact, our practice is about 40% adult patients. By adults, I mean 21 and older. And we treat everything from doing little touch-up work for parents that decided that they didn't want to wear their retainers and their teeth have shifted a little bit, to full-on orthodontics. And I would like to end my little remaining time here with just one story which just personally touches my heart. Years ago, when I was fairly new in practice, I had an elderly lady come to me and she said, I don't know why I'm here. My dentist sent me here. I went to my dentist. He told me I needed to see you. I told him I just wanted dentures. I don't like my teeth. I wanted them all taken out and I just wanted dentures made so I'd have nice teeth. Well, the dentist was correct because the patient didn't have any teeth that met except in the very back of her mouth. Her mouth was wide open in front. She could hardly chew anything. And so we had a conversation and told her that, you know, we can save your teeth for you, but you're going to have full orthodontics and orthodontic surgery. And she agreed. And over the years, when I treated her, I became good friends of hers. Her husband passed away of cancer while we were treating her. And then we were finally finished. She had the surgery very successfully and was just delighted that she could actually bite for the first time in her life. But the bottom line of the whole story is she came back to me a number of years later. I had not seen her for quite a number of years after we finished. And she said, you know, Dr. Will, she said, I have to tell you one thing. She said, when you told me that we needed to have surgery to make this happen, I'm turning off my timer. That's the noise you hear. She said, I believed you. And she said, I'm so glad I did. And she said, I want to tell you that on my 60th high school anniversary, I went back and nobody knew me. And she said, I was the prettiest person in the room. And that to me is my heartwarming story. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And I'll be happy to take whatever questions you might want to ask me right now. And again, Diva, it's been an honor to be associated here today.
Thank you, Dr. Will. Yes, we have time for a few questions. Does anybody have any questions for the doctor?
I have a question.
Yes.
Actually, more of kind of a personal question for me. I've had pretty significant TMJ for quite a while. When I talked to my doctor about it, he told me to talk to my dentist. When I talked to my dentist, he says to talk to the doctor. I've heard that
I've heard that story before.
Okay, I've heard that I may be helped by a chiropractor. Is that in the orthodontic field? Is that where I should go if I want to have somebody take a look?
It is in the orthodontic field, and I'll tell you, if you came to our office, what we would do for you. We would evaluate you, we would talk about your symptoms, what's going on, how long lasting it has been. We would take some specialized x-rays, because one of the things you have to understand is where you have this joint, which is right here in front of your ear, there can actually be degenerative changes in the bone, which would cause this. It's mostly seen with rheumatoid arthritis, but there are other conditions, wear patterns and functional patterns that can cause changes there too. So we want to establish a baseline to see where you are. And then sometimes we will provide a splint for you, which is something that you wear in your mouth to put your joint in the proper position to take the stress off of that joint. Sometimes we will refer to a chiropractor. Sometimes we will refer to a specialist in temporomandibular joints. So I guess that's a way of saying that probably all of what you've heard is true, but the grains of the truth have to be picked out of there. Neither Dr. Bari nor I are TMJ specialists. We've had a lot of experience with it, but we make no intention of promoting ourselves as that. But we can certainly point you in the right direction if you would be interested.
Okay, I appreciate it. And yeah, and then my other question was just as far as effectiveness, is there a big difference between the traditional braces and the invisible alignment technology?
Oh, you got me on a good one there. I like that. You know, if you listen to the advertisements, the aligners can do everything. But there's a little disclaimer at the bottom, like there always is. Aligners are primarily the biggest problem is compliance. And the aligners have to be worn 22 hours every day. And that's no days off for watching your child graduate from a program or, you know, visiting your parents or anything like that. The adults that we have treated, all of them have been benefited by it. Not all of them have gone to completion. Some people just drop off. They say, I just can't do this. Some people say that, you know, I would like to just go ahead and do the braces like I probably should have done to begin with to finish things up. And we're certainly willing to do that. But aligners are very good for some things. They're not good for everything. And when a patient comes to our office and tells us they want aligners, we tell them what we can do with the aligners and what their responsibilities will be. Yes, aligners are good. They can serve a very good function when you have a properly diagnosed case and a compliant patient. That answer that question? Good. And I have no stock in any aligner company, so I'm not saying that to benefit anybody. But we do use those, and we're getting a lot of children that are coming in and wanting it now too. Or maybe I should say parents of children who want it for their children. It is possible to help some of these out, but when we have a developing mouth, it's much more complicated and much more difficult, obviously, than when you have all the teeth in the mouth. Thank you, Mike. That was good.
I have a question as well, actually. My name's Derek.
Hi, Derek.
I have 2 young kids. One is 8, one is 6, and both my wife and I have very large teeth. We are assuming at some point they're going to need to get braces and those things. Should we wait for the dentist to recommend that, or is that something we should start the dialogue on now?
Well, ideally, I would like your dentist to be proactive and recommend your children, but if not, you can dialogue yourself on that. Like I said, we like to see children around age 7, and that gives us a good idea. What we take at that time is what we call a panoramic x-ray. It's an x-ray that goes all the way around the head to show all of the teeth that you can visually see, as well as all the developing teeth and their positions. And we all know that facial structure and dental structure is genetically based. So if you and your wife both have large teeth, most likely your children will too, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Uh, we also make sure that we have all the teeth present. Many times we come across missing teeth or extra teeth, and it's always good to know those from an early on age. So again, not to toot our own horn, but my office will see your children and any children as far as that goes at no charge for an initial evaluation. And that just allows you to know what's in the future. But I like the way you think, knowing that you're going to have orthodontics. That's reassuring to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that was
Thank
a
you.
joke, by the way. Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Will. So what we'll do is any other questions, if you want to inbox Dr. Will, or if you can add your information, Dr. Will, to the message box, and we can have them send it out to you.
That would be in the chat box.
If you go onto the message box on Zoom.
The chat function.
The chat function. The
There
chat
you go.
function. I can
There
do
you
the
go.
chat function. Thank you.
There you go. Thank you, Raymond. So, and again, thank you, Dr. Will. I think I'm going to be messaging you afterwards to talk about a couple things going on.
Well,
But
thank you so much. It's really fun. And if anybody wants me to send you photos with a little brief description of what we talked about, I'm very happy to do that too. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So next, I want to go ahead and go into our fast craft talk, and our next invite guest, Bernie.
Thank you, Diva. Appreciate this time to talk to you guys. This is the first time actually to meet her, and we have a common friend. The reason why I was introduced to Diva is because I was asking my friends for books. The reason for that is that we're going to send this back to the Philippines because there's a big need for that. And so let me give a background why we want to do that, because as I mentioned, me and my wife are nurses. We came here 15 years ago. Our timeline is 15 to 20 years. We're going back home. We're going to do what we love to do. And one of the biggest desire we want is to come up with a youth center. And that will take a lot of money. And maybe down the line we can do that. But the immediate need that we've seen right now is the books and some other things. My wife and I are educators. And we came from a big family of educators, but that's not only the reason. Filipino culture is into education. The speech that the parents have with their children is this: kids, we don't have money, we don't have properties to leave to you when we die, but what we can leave you is education. So they'll do everything. So we, 5 of us, finish our degrees, but that's not the same for other parts of the country. They can barely, afford to send their kids to school because they live in a faraway place in the mountains, and sometimes it will take 6, 7, 8 hours for them to just go down to the village, to the main village. And lately, government has been sending teachers to reach them, and sorry, I cannot emotional when I think about that because it's very important for me. They cross rivers. I've seen videos of them hiking on Mondays, going back to the families on Fridays just to reach these people. And so that's where our heart is, me and my wife. And I was privileged to meet my friend, an old friend who has a property in one of these areas. It's not that far. It's just an hour walk, hour hike to his property, and we've seen children going there. Poor children will gather in his place. He has a house in that place. It's just one like classroom, no rooms, and he used that to teach because he's a certified rescue guy and CPR. So he would teach people there. One day I've seen this old lady walking towards his house, and he checked the blood pressure, and he told me that lady had a stroke and he needs to check every day. So me and my wife are nurses and said, why don't we go back there, bring this blood pressure machine, but we want to teach them how to do the manual. So we want to create that area, that place there that we're going to teach them, and them teaching others as well. So we have, I think, 3 sets of manual. We don't want to use the electronic one, because if they run out of batteries, It's not going to be accurate. So we got to teach them that. We're going to bring, we already have that supplies with us, a couple of that, maybe as glucometer and something like that. And kids, we want to provide them education. They only see what's in front of them. It's a beautiful place. It's up in the mountains. But books, we believe, will open their minds to the world. And we're so excited to think about that, you know, we just ask our friends for books. We're just going to send it there, and my friend will receive them, and you know, kids can go in there. The other thing, though, that makes me excited, because at this time, as we speak, there are about 35 or 40 pastors gathering in that area. These pastors actually are the village heads from different village leaders from different areas that most government agencies can't reach them. So it's very strategic. We sponsored these gatherings, and I was thinking, you know what, if we have books in that area, they could bring books back to their village. Their church serves as the only place where people can gather. And so kids can go there and learn. You know, these pastors, they go to college, they know how to read. Filipinos, by the way, our medium of instruction is English. I can write business letters in English. I cannot write business letter in my language. And so English books are really appropriate for them. And we're very excited. We're gonna do this. However, if people are willing to help us, that we can double the impact. You know, instead of aside from books, perhaps we can send them some old laptops. At least in my friend's place, there's electricity and he has an internet connection, and so that excites us. And so I just want to present this to you guys. I don't know what else, what can you do to help, but perhaps individually, you know, we just need books. That's all we needed. But if we can find ways how to, you know, increase our help, then that will create more impact for people in that area, for kids especially. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bernie. I appreciate your time. I know you're busy, but that was a great insight of what you guys do and what you're passionate about. I have books that I can gather, and I'll give it to our mutual friend Edna, and so she can forward them over to you. But this is something I wanted to present to the club, because I truly believe that if we all have books, so if somebody has books in their, you know, in their library and that they're not using any longer, that can definitely help out. So thank you again, Bernie. So
thank you.
Next, Fine Master, if I can get Steve to go ahead and do the fines.
Absolutely. Thank you, Diva. So the San Dimas Rotary Club has 3 different options on how we can fine ourselves. I'm fine, which means you can fine yourself to talk about something that's good going on in your life. They're fine. Somebody else or something else is going well, and you can fine yourself to talk about that. Or the most expensive of the fine options, I'm not fine. So it gives you an opportunity to complain about something. That fine is double what the other 2 fines are. So at this point, I'd like to open the floor and give somebody from the club an opportunity to fine themselves. And if nobody finds themselves, then I just fine everybody.
I'll go. I am going to fine myself $20. I am not fine because we are entering the time of year post Super Bowl where we don't have any sports other than regular season basketball and hockey, which I'm not super interested in. So until we get into baseball season, this is kind of the lull for the sports season for me. So I am not fine with the lack of live sports.
Thank you for that, Mike. Good news is pitchers and catchers report to spring training in about 10 days. So things will move quickly here. Would anybody else like to fine themselves? Okay, back to you, Diva.
Thank you. Okay, so next, our Action 360. And I'll give the student welcome back update to Raymond.
So we're still talking about that. We don't know when the students are going to get welcomed back. That's the biggest hangup. I will tell you that the Masonic Lodge has agreed to match a financial commitment from the club to do those balloon arches. And if we get more information, we can reach out to Laverne. It is possible. If the Rotary puts up 250, the Lodge puts up 250, and Laverne puts up 250, we can do a balloon arch at each of the K through 6 or elementary schools in Bonita itself. But we've got San Dimas covered. We're waiting. Nobody knows, but that's where we are. We're waiting.
Okay. So on the new member induction update, I went ahead and I asked Craig to order the certificates. So once we get them in, then we can go ahead and set a date.
Cool.
Well, you're still not smiling at me. I'm like, okay. Next, the fundraising update.
You know, we have that domain supportrotarians.com. It turns out that the C's Candy thing can be done all year round. So it's been set up to run through October 31st. And I've changed the social media so that every other hour we're putting out an update that tags other Rotary clubs around the world and getting pretty good response. So if you know somebody who wants to help out, supportrotarians.com, they can get the peanut brittle and the candy and put more business in Dr. Larry's pocket there with all the sweets that they can get. So that's going forward. And I wondered, I know that Diva, you made progress on getting us designated as an Amazon charity.
Well, I need to get it asked for an EIN number, and I couldn't get past that. So I did try to get a hold of somebody through via email through the Amazon site because there wasn't a direct number to speak to anybody. So I'm just waiting on that. I'll send out another email to see what we can do on that.
We do have an EIN, don't we not?
I believe, Mike?
Yeah, we do. I emailed it.
You did? Oh, okay. Again, I probably missed the email, so I'm sure I missed the email. So I'll double check and then I'll do that again today, and then get us all set up, and then I'll forward it to everybody.
That's go ahead.
Sorry, one thing to note: if we have to be a 501c3 in order to participate in that, which I'm not sure, but if we do, then we would have to use the district's 501c3 number, which I also have.
I don't think that we do, because noticing that other Rotary clubs have been able to set that up once you get it through. And I think just the EIN number on the designation, because they don't actually give a donation letter or anything like that. So they're not really worried about that. But that's another thing that we can blast out social media. We can get people just to designate us as an Amazon charity and get a little percentage of their purchase. Would be fabulous.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to bring up is I have been in talks with House of Ruth. So hopefully we can do some kind of fundraising there. Myself and their fundraising chair are going to be talking soon and try to set something up.
No one needs a plan.
Okay, and then I would like to also, if anybody, whether the club wants to do this right now or not, but if anybody has books, I'd like to collect them so I can send them to Bernie.
What I'd like to do, Diva, is I'd like to have a more in-depth conversation with him, because doing a book collection thing like we did the food drive and like we did the clothing drive would be a real possible thing, but I think we'd overload him with books. Is it possible to, maybe you can arrange for us to have a quick Zoom conference with him to get specifics before we go off on getting 1,000 books for this cat and he can't do anything with them?
I also had a follow-up question for him. If there was any specific range that he was looking for, elementary or, adult reading, any type of, reading level that he was particularly interested in, or is it just any books?
Yeah, and let's, Diva, you would just shoot him an email and ask him the
Yeah.
good date for us to have a quick conference. Because if we involve the Rotary Club in his area, is what we ought to do, and make this an international project. It would be a fabulous international project that I think we're all willing to go forward with, but we need a lot more detail.
Right. Okay. I'll send him an email once we end here, and then I'll keep everybody posted. Okay. So
Yeah, and if we do have to ship those, we need to factor that in, because obviously books can get very heavy. Not sure what the cost may be on it.
my understanding is right now they are accruing all the costs, and so they were okay with collecting books. But if obviously if we can help out in that, you know, that realm as well, that would be great. So, but I'll go ahead and add that in the email. Okay. Anything else? Oh, club assembly update.
Let's just go move on because we're out of time.
Okay. So calendar.
We've got good speakers coming up. We've got crime survivors next week. We have another oral surgeon coming in to help us celebrate Children's Dental Health Month. And by the way, if you're listening to this on KWST, if you'll email us at sandimasrotary@gmail.com, we will forward Dr. Larry Will's information to you. So either through the YouTube channel or KWSC. And then we've got coming up our District Governor Greg Jones is going to come March 3rd. And then we've got Volunteers of America. March we'll be looking at domestic violence. So we've got Volunteers of America and the House of Ruth, and we're beginning to fill out April. So that's our calendar.
Thank you, Raymond. Okay, so next, Mike with the four-way test.
Sure. Raymond, or do you have the slide? If not, then I can recite it.
Hang on, let me put it back. I thought I had put it up, Mike.
Oh, it's okay.
The Zoom thing gets creepy. There you go.
Oh, hey, there we go. All right, well, the Rotary four-way test was developed, obviously, by Rotarians for as a test of what we think, say, and do. And so we can be reasonably assured that if anything we think, say, and do passes all four of these tests, then you know, our intent will come across as effective and helpful and positive. And the four-way test is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And that is today's four-way test.
Thank you, Mike. So I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you for Dr. Will for his presentation, and thank you for Bernie coming in and talking about what he's passionate about and in this book drive, if you will. And thank you everybody else that joined us, took the time to spend their lunch break with us today, and hopefully we'll see you next week. So thank you everybody. Bye.